What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Jordy, and welcome back to F1 25 Driver Career Mode for the pre-season episode of Season 2. That's right, guys. We finally finished up the first season of F1 25. It was a very long season, 24 long races, but it was a very good season for us, coming out with P4 in the constructors as well as P4 in the drivers standings. It was a bit more rocky towards the end of the season, of course, since we stopped making upgrades to the car. But of course, we were never going to stick around with VCarb. We have been talking to Aston Martin this whole season, and now is finally the time to start selecting that team and getting into our new seat alongside Fernando Alonso. But I was quite surprised to see the choices available to us for the 2026 season, or rather the lack of choices, because outside of Aston Martin, the only choices we had was re-signing with VCarb, signing for Haas, or signing for Alpine. And I thought, after dragging VCarb up to P4 in the Constructors, after scoring a P4 in the Constructors, I would have thought that pretty much every team on the grid would have been chomping at the bit to sign us. I understand teams like Mercedes, I understand teams like McLaren or Ferrari, for example, but for teams like Red Bull, Mercedes, Williams, and Kick Sauber, why wouldn't they want me, considering their current driver lineup, considering how their season went? I was very surprised by it, and I think that was an issue back in F1 24 as well, to be honest. I was really surprised, but hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us down the line. My goal of signing for Aston Martin in Season 2 and for the foreseeable future as we go for the championship, hopefully in 2026, I'm glad that came to fruition. But in terms of future teams, joining future teams, hopefully we don't run into any problems. Of course, I would love to join Williams, or who knows what happens as we go through this career mode. But I'm quite disappointed that one of the things that people complained most about in the subreddit and forums for F1 24 hasn't been fixed. But of course, we are confirming our choice. We are going to be pursuing a contract and signing with Aston Martin. Alright, and here we go with our little meeting. I would have had to dub over that last part because I accidentally still had my mic muted from the Abu Dhabi race. I'm recording this right afterwards. So we're going to go for 2 seasons. That's going to put our recognition up, maybe? I don't know. And then, this will put our recognition up. So we got a target rating for, I'm guessing, 2 seasons. Honestly, where did we start? Like a 70 overall, something like that? So I feel like we could definitely get close to even further. I'm not entirely sure, so we'll just go with an 87 for now. We're going to sign a contract for 2 seasons with Aston Martin because I really think that we could be winning the championship with this team. Contract signed. We are now officially an Aston Martin driver alongside Fernando Alonso. That is the dream. Trophy earned. Sign on the dotted line. There is our statistics at the end of that season. 2 wins, 1 pole position, which was Monaco. So we're going to skirt that under the rug because I ended up taking grid penalties to start at the back of the grid anyway. We're going to have Monaco in Season 2, but we're going to play that on like the highest difficulty ever because Monaco is just ridiculously easy in these games. But we ended up scoring 274 championship points, gaining us a 4th place in the championship, which is really strong for our first season. We gained 15 driver ratings, so we actually started at overall 65. That's crazy, and we ended up gaining 12% more in the recognition. So honestly, one of the all-time greatest rookie seasons. Definitely not the greatest, maybe not even top 3, but it is what it is. So here we go. Now we get to decide what we're going to do in terms of the calendar for Season 2. This was a lot tougher than I thought to make some of these decisions, because certain tracks that I wouldn't usually have, I found a bit interesting in Season 1 and want to try them again in Season 2, and then there was other ones that I certainly didn't want, but I feel I have to redeem myself at them, or they have reverse variants. So we'll go over them as we get to them, but we're going to start off in Bahrain. I've never been the biggest fan of Australia. I do like Australia, don't get me wrong, but I always prefer to start off the season with Bahrain. I think Bahrain is a much better track and definitely more scenic to start off a season. And obviously I do want China. I really love China as a circuit, and Japan is all right, but Japan's never been that good for overtakes for the last couple of years, so that was an easy removal. That will return at some point when Australia returns as the the first track on a season, which will probably be like next season, but for this season we're starting with Bahrain, and China, for that reason, will also be waiting until next season. Then we'll be heading off to Jeddah. Of course, it's always a highly intense circuit. I didn't want to lose Miami. You guys know, if you've stuck around for the last couple of years, watching since we did F1 content, you guys know I love Miami. I do really like that track, but it was needed to go to make room for other tracks, unfortunately. Our Italian Grand Prix, I usually only do one Italian Grand Prix in a season, and that one is going to obviously be Imola. I've dissed Monza on numerous occasions in season one. I genuinely do feel as though Imola is the much better track, and there's a very good chance that we're not going to see Imola for a long time in real life. So I definitely want to make the most of Imola this season. That is for sure. In this game, I don't know if it will end up being removed by the time we get to F1 26. We'll see. I know France and Portimao stuck around for a couple of extra years, but they just got removed for this game. So we'll see what happens with Imola, but I want to make the most of that track this year. Monaco, usually I would remove it, but obviously we definitely had a very weird time around it in season one. So I want to go again around Monaco, this time on the highest AI difficulty, just to see if we can get some sort of competitiveness out of the AI in qualifying, and in turn the race. And of course we do have the mandatory two-stop in Monaco as well. So I definitely want to make the most of that intrigue, and that is actually going to be the fourth race of the season, so very quickly getting into Monaco, followed up by Spain. It was between Spain and Canada, which was the last one I didn't want to remove. Usually I would have both of these tracks on the calendar, but between the two, Spain is the more difficult one. And if you remember, in season one we had more of a tough time around Spain than we did in Canada, especially since Canada, when you have the most powerful powertrain, it ends up being trivial at that point. If you guys watch my F1 24 season 1, and then of course the F1 25 season 1, Canada, by the time we got to Canada we had the most powerful engine and we were pretty dominant. I think we ended up finishing P2, and only because we let Max win. But yeah, Spain, definitely more difficult. We're going with that. Australia reverse, one of the new tracks for the game. Obviously we were going to go with that one, and then we're keeping Silverstone. Ideally I would remove Silverstone because reverse is here, and I'm not a big fan of Silverstone anyway in terms of the actual track. But we just did awful in season one when we went around Silverstone, and since it's the home race, I really want to redeem myself, so we're going to try that again this time, and then we're going to go right back to the circuit for the reversed version, which will stick around for the rest of the series. So this season is going to be the last time you see Silverstone for a while, maybe even going into F1 26, because because F1 26, even if you do 16 races, you have to do mandatory the official races. So this is going to be the last time you see normal Silverstone until F1 26, because we're going to be sticking with reverse. Spa, never ever going to go anywhere. I cannot believe Formula One are planning to swap this out with another track every off season. I really don't like that. Hopefully Spa sticks around in those games where it's not on the calendar. I don't see why it wouldn't, seeing as it would just be on the game afterwards anyway, so I feel like it would just be in the game every year anyway. But it's going to be so weird to do an F1 season without Spa in, I think it's F1 27. Very strange. Hungaroring, I hate this track. It's just Monaco 2.0, just with a slightly better overtaking opportunity into turn 1, but that's really about it. Maybe turn 2, but I've been playing this a lot in ranked recently, and it's just proven to me that I really, really hate this track. I don't like going around it against the AI. I don't like playing online. Honestly, yeah. Hungaroring is not coming back, unless people really want it, I suppose. Zandvoort is not a track I've ever been too much of a fan of neither. I remember liking it in F1 2020, but that was maybe because of the novelty of it being new to that game. But Zandvoort Reversed might provide a different story. I know Silverstone Reversed definitely is. It feels a lot better than the normal one. We'll see how Zandvoort goes in reverse. I haven't really tried a race around Zandvoort Reverse yet, so we'll just see how that goes. Then we're going to go to Baku. I've always loved Baku. That's going to stick around. Same with Singapore. And then we're skipping along to Brazil. Mexico is unlikely to return anytime soon. I've never been a fan of that track, and since Sergio Perez is no longer on the grid, there's no real novelty to go into Mexico. Texas, that will return at some point. I only really want one US Grand Prix per season, and that will be Las Vegas. Obviously, we might end up having more than one, but Texas out of the 3 is usually my least favorite. The US tracks are absolutely fantastic, so don't think I dislike Texas. I just prefer Miami, and I definitely prefer Las Vegas. But obviously I wanted to do more experimentation with Qatar, just like Monaco really, just to see if we can sort of redeem ourselves for the result towards the end of Season 1. Definitely one of the more difficult, if not the most difficult circuit against the AI on this year's game, and probably last year's game as well, to be honest. I remember struggling around the track then. But obviously, I don't want to end the season at Qatar, so that's why Abu Dhabi is staying. I love Abu Dhabi, but I usually like to end the season in Las Vegas, so in Season 3, you're likely to say goodbye to both Qatar and Abu Dhabi. I don't want to make decisions for myself. By the time we get there, I might feel different. But yeah, that is the calendar for Season 2. I hope you guys are happy with it. I certainly am. So without further ado, let's get into Season 2, confirming these settings. And I do have a new helmet, so don't worry. I'm about to show you guys. And look at this. So this is the R&D Scenarios. That's what they're called, not R&D modifiers. So put a twist on the usual rules of the R&D season. So we've got high inflation. Upgrades will become more expensive the more you develop. We've got powertrain only, aero only, chassis only, and durability only. So I think a lot of the regulations were chassis and powertrain related. I'll have to have a look at the 2026 regulations just to see what they affect the most, to see if we can kind of replicate it. But look at this. We've got chip shortage. Only one upgrade can be purchased each calendar month, locked until the end of Season 2. We've got minor upgrades only. Ooh. And we've got balancing out the field. That'll be nice if towards the end of the season a certain team is, well out ahead. And then we've got endless resources. Unlimited resource points are applied to every driver's account. That would be crazy. I think balancing out the field is really cool. The team currently top of the performance chart is required to remove one upgrade at random each race weekend. That sounds really interesting. I'm really looking forward to getting to that one. That's for sure. Alright, reading up on the 2026 rulebook, it seems to be that there is going to be a concern that cars are going to be too fast on the straights and too slow in the corners. So that sounds to me like powertrain only is going to be our thing for this season. I don't know what that means for Season 3 onwards, but for this season we're going to go powertrain only. So we're not going to be able to run away with powertrain upgrades just like we were in Season 1, and it's also going to make the cars a lot more stiff. But all teams, including our own, can only purchase powertrain upgrades. All other departments will have their fitted upgrades removed. So if we went aero only, like I think I did for F1 24, that would mean that Red Bull would probably be the best, or maybe McLaren. Red Bull were definitely the best in F1 24, but in this game, yeah, it'd probably be Red Bull and McLaren well ahead of everybody else. Powertrain only though, I don't know. If we look at last season, I think a lot of the Ferrari teams ended up being some of the best teams on the grid. So we could see some big boosts for Kick Sauber and Haas. Who knows? I know Racing Bulls, we of course put a lot of upgrades into that car for powertrain, so they might be one of the best teams. Who knows? I'm really excited to see, but we're going to go with powertrain only and advance from there. Verstappen is going to Ferrari? What? Why? He just won the championship by far at Red Bull. Lewis Hamilton is no longer driving this season. He's just gone. Colapinto is at Red Bull replacing Verstappen. So Red Bull are going to absolutely drop because, yeah, they don't have, like, Colapinto, no dissing towards him, but him and Tsunoda are not anywhere near the likes of Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, etc. Stroll's at Racing Bulls. So looks like Lawrence managed to orchestrate a deal with Red Bull to keep Lance on the grid, and of course we have moved to Aston Martin replacing Stroll. And look at this, we cannot access any of these upgrades. Lost, so they all drop down. We cannot look at any of them. They have all dropped down. Looking at these upgrades, let's see where we are in the grand scheme of things. Look at this. So I guess Verstappen saw the regulations and knew that Red Bull were not going to be able to provide a good car. So he's gone to Ferrari, which will be likely the best team on the grid. It does say that Racing Bulls is, of course, the best in terms of powertrain. So on tracks like Bahrain, etc. Oh, wow. Like, not Bahrain, but Jeddah? Do we have Jeddah? I forgot whether or not we have Jeddah on the grid. But on those fast tracks, Racing Bulls are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Williams are up there as well. What? This season is going to be amazing. I actually can't wait. But we've got to make some powertrain upgrades ASAP to be able to catch up to the rest of the grid. So, yeah, we definitely want to make those as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But looking at the overall vehicle performance comparison, of course, everybody has been reset to their defaults. So, this looks a bit more ordinary, to be fair. But we know how much the powertrain can really dictate, especially with the AI as they are. Like, it's going to be insane seeing what results Racing Bulls could come out with in this season. But looking at our driver details, going over to customization, it's time for the helmet reveal. Here it is, Neon Verda. That's the helmet that we're going with. I wish we could see it with the overalls, but I guess that will have to wait until later in the first race of the season. But look at that, Max Verstappen in Ferrari overalls is crazy, and Hamilton is just not on the grid. I would have thought he would have ended up elsewhere, but perhaps other racers are more protected? I don't know. But look at this, that's the Red Bull lineup. Tsunoda and Colapinto, and then look at how close the Racing Bull lineup is to the Red Bull lineup. So that's going to be insanely interesting going into this season, that's for sure. I'm actually really excited to see what's going to happen. Obviously, we still have a championship rivalry going on with Piastri. Very, very strange. We need 19 points to win, so we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, we've got a driver ratings rivalry with Yuki Tsunoda. So that's pretty much all that's got to be said for this season. Verstappen at Ferrari and Hamilton no longer on the grid is absolutely insane. So Hamilton so depressed and downtrodden from his awful time in the last set of regulations, didn't even want to give this new one a go. And Verstappen must have seen just how bad the Red Bull Ford powertrain really was and decided to go to Ferrari instead. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the new season turns out. But guys, that is going to be the end of this special episode, this pre-season, post-season episode, blah, blah, blah. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as much as possibly can, and I will see you very, very soon for the first episode of Season 2 of Driver Career. I'll see you next time. Peace.